Hello, good day to you all. Today I am going to evaluate System Center DPM, the Data Protection Manager 2022 version. So basically, I am going to set up a lab and configure System Center Data Protection Manager 2022. So here you could see the screen and here this is the Microsoft official documentation of System Center deployment, right? Here under DPM deployment considerations, of course you can plan the deployment as you please, as needed, right? Since what I'm going to do is a lab setup, I am going to stop at SQL Server database, and here we could see SQL server versions which are supported to host DPM server. And of course, DPM server, when installing DPM server, it is required to install SQL Server database. As you know, if you are familiar with System Center suite products like SCOM, SESM, VMMM, every product, right? Every product needed SQL Server database. So now DPM Server 2022 supports SQL Server 2019 as a database. So I'm going to use SQL Server 2019 for my test lab deployment, and let's set up the lab environment. Let me quickly open my test lab VM. Here I have downloaded SQL Server 2019 evaluation version. Of course, I will include the links in video description and you can download SQL Server 2019 via Microsoft Evaluation Center, right? I have already downloaded the file. Let me quickly open. Okay, this is the ISO file. Let me open the ISO file, and here you can see the setup file which is needed to double click on it to begin the installation. Let me open it, and it's opening. Okay, this is the SQL Server Installation Center. From here in the left pane, I will click on the installation, and here on top, new SQL Server standalone installation. That is what I'm going to do. So let's click on it, and it will open the SQL Server setup. Okay, since it's lab environment, I'm gonna skip Windows updates. Okay, it's checking for update. Give it a second to finish. So seems we can move forward with the installation. So let me click on next, and again let's wait for, and of course it's finished. And yeah, since we are using evaluation version, we could move forward by click on next and click here to accept license and terms and click on next. Okay, so when it comes to SQL Server features, what we need is database engine services. Let me click on that and click on next. Give it a moment to load, and I'm gonna go ahead with default instance. Okay, it's loading the configs. Give it a second to load. Okay, from here I am using my DPM server service account, and of course if you are doing SQL Server installation in production, you need to plan the service account. By plan I mean you can use manage service account for SQL Server installations, which is the best practice when configuring SQL Server. And since this is a evaluation and this is a test lab environment, I am gonna use my DPM admin account for this. Give me a moment to fill this service account field. Another configuration, right, we need to make sure is SQL Server urgent startup time is set to automatic. So let me click on that and select automatic, and SQL Server browser, this is needed to set it to automatic if you are to use Opsman for monitoring purposes. And from the collation tab, we use the default collation, no need to change anything. Let me click on service account tab again. Okay, and now I'm going to click on next. Okay, what I'm going to do is I am adding my current DPM admin account. And of course if you are doing this in production, of course you need to add SQL specific group for DPM server admins, right? From AD you have to create different specific group which consists of DPM server DB admins, and of course need to add the account which are needed, that permission. Of course this is a lab setup, I'm not going to worry about those. And here again in data directories, since this is a evaluation deployment, I'm not gonna change anything, but in real world you should plan this accordingly. Of course please have a conversation with SQL engineers while doing these deployments, because performance wise the decisions you take and the configuration you select here is humongous, so please plan accordingly. since this is a test environment, I am not gonna click on and changing anything. I'm gonna click next. Okay, all seems good. Of course, if needed, double check the configurations you have selected. All is good, all seems good, and let's click on install. Give it a minute to install, and after, let's proceeding with DPM server installation process. While SQL Server installation happens, I will explain you another prerequisite of DPM Server installation. So you need to install .NET version 3.5, right? You can do that. It's a server feature. I have already installed. I will showcase you how to, right, via browsing. So click on next and select the server and click on next. From here you could see the server roles and click on next. It's a feature. Okay, so here you need to click on this .NET 3.5 features, and of course alternatively, right, depending on the operating system version you are installing DPM, right, you need to specify the ISO, this image sys folder path for to grab required .NET 3.5 related cap file, right? Here is the location. Let me quickly open my file explorer and the OS disk which I have mounted to my VM, right? From here, sources and 6. You need to add additional path if you are to install .NET 3.5, because with installed OS it isn't available in some OSs. So, and of course .NET 3.5 is a feature which required for DPM server installation. So in the backend, this SQL Server setup is still running. Let's give it a moment to finish. Right, okay, so we installed the SQL Server. Let's go out. And prior to closing, let's download because when it comes to SQL Server, latest versions, SQL Server reporting service comes in different installation. We need to download and install. Let's click on this SQL Server reporting service URL to download SQL Server reporting service 2019. Okay, here let's click on this link to download, and let's wait. Okay, here we can download the product itself. Okay, it will download it, and at the same time let's download SQL Server Management Studio as well. So here I will click on this link, which will redirect to the download link of SQL Server Management Studio, and by clicking on this I be able to download. And while it's downloading, let's open the SQL Server reporting services and let's proceed with the installation. Okay, let's proceed with the install reporting services, and here also I'll be using the evaluation. Please note I'm going to install this reporting service only, and not going to configure it as of now. Okay, let it be installed. Okay, so I'm going to move forward and install SQL Server Management Studio as well. Okay, seems the installation is completed. It will require restart. So let me proceeding with restarting the server. Right, okay. Now we will install the prerequisites which needed to our DPM server implementation. And let's open SQL Server Manager, which is the management tool where we can manage databases, SQL databases specifically. Let's open that. So yes, we have installed the SQL Server. We can see the system databases, because currently those are the only databases we configured. So let's minimize this and let's configure report server. Let's search report. Okay, I think we need to install report server first. That is the pop-up message is appeared upon the installation, upon the restart of the server. Let's proceed with installation. Quickly click accept license and terms and click on next. And I'll be using default locations since this is a evaluate lab setup. Give it a minute to complete the necessary component in the backend. So now we've successfully installed this SQL 2019 reporting services. Let's configure the report server now by clicking on this configure report server button, and let's click on connect. This is the server name, servernet BIOS name, and let's connect and let's browse into the service account, and let's specify the domain account that we are using for this DPM server lab setup. And of course, if you are doing this in production, you will probably use manage service accounts, but here since this is a lab setup, I'll be using my DPM service account for this. And click on apply. Okay, and from the left hand pane, let's click on web service URL. And click on apply since we are using defaults. Give it a second to complete. Seems all the tasks completed successfully, and then click on database pane in the left pane and click on change database, and here create new report server database, and let's connect the connectivity, and it is succeeded, and click on next and next and next and next. Now it will be creating the database and the necessary trust. Give it a moment. Okay, it will complete it. Click on finish. Alright, we have created this database portion as well. Then click on web portal URL, and now let's click on apply. Alright, the task is completed successfully. All the other tasks isn't prerequisite tasks, but of course you can do config if you need. Since I have configured the configuration required for this report server configuration, I'll be closing out this window and let me open this SQL Server Manager and refresh it, and let me expand the databases. Now you could see the databases for report server, DB and report server. So let me quickly minimize this. Now we have installed the necessary prerequisites for this DPM server installation. What we have to do is now the task, the actual task, the task of implementing the DPM server itself. So let's browse to the location where I have extracted the DPM server binaries, the installation files. It's under C System Center Data Protection Manager. So let me quickly expand this and let's browse into a little bit down. Okay, from here you could see the setup file. To install, let's click on the setup file and click on next. Alright, it will bring up this installation wizard, and let's proceeding with the data protection manager installation. Let's click on the data protection manager link. Okay, I will be accepting, and it will download necessary DLL files. Give it a minute to complete. Okay, let's start the process of configuring DPM server installation. Let's click on next on the welcome screen. From here you have to specify the SQL Server NetBIOS name. Since I'll be using the default instance, I do not need to specify server instance name, only the installation server NetBIOS name. So here I'll be copying the full computer name, not full computer name, only the NetBIOS name, which is the dog-dpm portion of the FQDN. Okay, let me quickly paste that and click on username or anything. Now what I need to do is click on this check and install. Then it will start the installation. Give it a minute to complete. it indicate here the missing prerequisites Hyper-V PowerShell has been installed. So this is a prerequisite and the setup itself have installed this, and of course we need to restart the server and reinitiate this DPM protection manager setup process to proceed with the configuration. So let's do exactly that. Right, let's click on cancel here and let's restart the server. So the server is successfully restarted. Let's proceed with the installation again. Let's open the binaries, which is located in C drive system center data protection manager, and scroll down and select setup and double click on it to install and click on yes to continue. Give it a okay, it's loaded, so we'll click on this data protection manager button to proceed with the installation, and we'll be accepting the license terms. Okay, give it a second to complete extracting process. Okay, here we go again. Let me quickly go through this welcome page and click on next, and here I need to specify our server name, which is stocked DPM. Okay, click on it and okay, now let's click on check and install. Let's wait for the good news. Now it's succeeded. Let's click on next to continue. Product registration. Here let's type DPM admin. Company, it's a fictional company called Frenzy, and click on next. Alright, I'm going to use this default location, so let me click on next. Since this is a test environment, I'm not going to use check for updates. Let's click on next and begin the installation process. Give it a minute to complete. So it seems you've been able to successfully install System Center Data Protection Manager. Let me quickly close out of these windows, and from here in desktop you can see the shortcut of System Center Data Protection Manager 2022. Let's open it by double clicking the button. Give it a moment to load. As you can see, we've been able to implement System Center 2022 Data Protection Manager successfully. And of course, now have to configure initial configurations like adding disks, adding disk storage, and adding protected servers, adding deploying agents, and adding servers. Let me quickly showcase about those initial configuration as well. So after the restart, I added the disk storage. So how to add disk storage is kind of what you have to do is you have to click on management and click on disk storage and click on add from up here. And if you have available disk drives, it will showcase on available volumes pane, and what you have to do is you have to click on this and click on add button here. So since I've already added, I'm not going to go ahead and do that config. So next step is to add production servers to backup. So I am going to add my SCCM server to DPM server backup and taking backup of SCCM server via this DPM setup. So here I will click on production servers, and on top of top ribbon I can click on add. From here I'll go with Windows servers and click on next, and it will be install agent, and click on next again, and we'll select the SCCM server. From here you will see your servers in your domain environment, right? So from here I'll be selecting this DK SCCM SVR, it is the SCCM server, and after selecting I'll click on add and click next. Here I'll need to specify local admin account of the server. Let me specify this account details. Quickly, okay, click on next. Here, okay, I will not let it restart, I will restart the server if needed. Click on next and click on install. Let's see the progress, whether it will succeed or not. Give it a moment. here I also have remote to the SCCM server. Let's see from task manager what are the processes happening. Okay, I couldn't see the process. Let's hope it will be beginning and going on process. All right, it says the agent installation is succeed, right? Let's click on class. Yes, from here you can see the DKSCCM server is there. So let's click, let's browse into this SCCM server, and from here, from fvis.cpl, let's open the installed program and let's explain it, and let's see. From here you could see Microsoft System Center DPM protection agent is successfully installed. So we have installed the DPM server agent on the SCCM server. So as of now we will be able to successfully install the DPM server and added the disk and install the DPM agent on one of the client PCs. So with this I will conclude this demo lab setup, and I hope this is helpful to you guys. Thank you, have a great day.